The stars burned cold and bright beyond the great windows of the alien High Council chamber. The leaders of 12 powerful species sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the glowing hologram that floated in the center of the room. The projection flickered with strange readings, lines of energy patterns, and shifting spikes of power that made no sense. A gray-skinned counselor with long, narrow eyes broke the silence first. His voice shook. "This cannot be correct. Humans do not possess this kind of technology." The chamber rumbled with nervous voices. Dozens of alien advisors whispered to one another. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others looked at the data as if it were a nightmare come alive. At the far end of the chamber, the Grand Speaker of the Council raised a clawed hand. The whispers stopped at once. His face, carved with deep lines of age, looked more troubled than anyone had ever seen. "The readings are real," he said. "The signal comes directly from Earth's orbit. Something is being built there. Something vast." The hologram shifted, and the councillors leaned forward. The image was blurry, but clear enough to show gigantic shapes rising above Earth's atmosphere. Shipyards glimmered in orbit, each one crawling with activity. Structures as large as mountains floated in place, connected by beams of light and streams of fire from thruster engines. One younger councillor with pale blue skin hissed in fear. "It is impossible. Humanity has only just mastered interstellar travel. How could they leap forward so quickly?" The Grand Speaker's gaze swept the chamber. "Perhaps they are not leaping forward. Perhaps they are uncovering something that was hidden." The words struck the council like a blade. Hidden, old, forgotten. Everyone in that chamber knew the meaning. Long ago, before the rise of the current empires, an ancient race ruled the stars. Their technology was forbidden, buried in myth and fear. No one dared to touch it. No one until now, the councillors argued. One demanded the destruction of Earth before the humans completed their work. Another shouted that attacking too soon could unite humanity against them. Others whispered that maybe humans had already surpassed them all. The chamber swirled with panic. High above Earth, the truth unfolded in silence. On the dark side of the planet, a colossal shape took form. It was a warship unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Its black armor gleamed with a strange shine, as if forged from materials older than the stars. Its length stretched like a continent in space, dwarfing even the mightiest alien flagships. The ship's outline alone sent shivers through the council as the hologram displayed it. An insectoid councillor slammed his spiked hand onto the table. "We cannot allow this ship to launch. If it does, nothing will stop humanity." Another, a reptilian with scales the color of steel, growled in agreement. "Strike now! Send fleets at once. Crush their yards before the monster awakens." But a softer voice rose among them, belonging to an elder with translucent skin that glowed faintly in the dark. "And what if it is too late? What if the ship is already armed? What if firing upon Earth wakes something worse?" The question hung in the air. No one answered. In the deep silence, the hologram flickered once more. The giant warship moved. It was only a small shift, the turning of its unfinished hull, but it was enough to send fear crawling through the council. Its engines, silent until now, began to glow with a red light. The councillors leaned forward, their faces pale. One whispered the words that many had tried not to speak aloud. "This is no bluff. Humanity is preparing for war." The Grand Speaker's eyes narrowed. His voice was cold. "If this ship awakens fully, the balance of the galaxy will break forever. We must decide now. Destroy Earth before it rises, or risk everything." In the chamber, tension rose like a storm. No one moved. No one spoke. Far away, in the orbit of Earth, the great warship stirred again. Its massive cannon, mounted along its spine like a weapon of the gods, slowly turned. The lens at its center opened like an eye, and for a brief second it locked onto the alien observation probe, hidden in the shadows. The councillors gasped as the hologram blurred. The probe's final transmission showed a blinding flash of light, then nothing but static. The chamber erupted into chaos. Councillors shouted over one another. Some demanded immediate war. Others screamed that it was already too late. The Grand Speaker raised his voice above the storm. Silence. If humanity has built such a weapon, then the galaxy stands at the edge of ruin. The chamber grew quiet again. Every alien leader felt the weight of those words. The humans had been ignored for so long, called primitive, reckless, foolish. Now they stood on the edge of something no one could have imagined. The Grand Speaker lowered his head, his voice a whisper that chilled every heart in the room. If that ship ever launches, the galaxy will never be the same. High above Earth, the massive warship's engines roared to life. The night side of the planet lit up with fire as the beast of steel and power began to rise. The scene cut to black. The alien fleet drifted in the cold void, hidden at the edge of the solar system. Their ships were sleek and deadly, each one larger than a human city. They had come to observe, not to attack. At least, not yet. Aboard the flagship, the alien commander leaned forward in his chair, his four eyes locked on the live feed from the stealth drones. The drones were silent, black machines no human radar could detect. They slid closer and closer to Earth, invisible shadows among the stars. "Approaching orbit," the drone operator whispered. His voice trembled as the data streamed onto the main screen. "Target locked. Visual feed coming online." The chamber darkened. Then the image appeared. At first, the commander thought the feed was broken. The warship looked too large, too unnatural to be real. It hovered above Earth's night side like a floating mountain of black steel. Its armor plates shone faintly in the light of the sun, and its surface pulsed with streams of power that ran like glowing rivers across its body. The operator swallowed hard. "This cannot be correct." The ship measures 3,000 kilometers in length. The chamber filled with whispers of disbelief. One officer covered his mouth, his hands shaking. Another turned away, as if refusing to look at the monster that hung above the blue planet. The commander stood, his voice sharp. "Enhance the image." The feed zoomed in, and details came into focus. Vast shipyards clung to the warship's side like ants on a giant. Small human vessels darted in and out of docking bays, delivering cargo, fuel, and soldiers. Some parts of the ship glowed unfinished, but even incomplete. Its size and power were beyond imagination. "This is madness," muttered an officer with scaled skin. "Humans cannot build this. They should not be capable." But the warship was real. It was there, staring back at them in silence. The commander's mind raced. He had fought in countless wars, seen fleets burn entire worlds, but never had he felt this chill. The humans had been underestimated for centuries, called reckless, weak, too divided to threaten the galaxy. Yet here, before his eyes, stood proof that humanity was no longer small. One of the younger officers gasped. "The ship is armed. I see weapons mounts along its hull." The commander narrowed his eyes. "Yes, they were there!" Rows upon rows of cannons, missile silos, and railguns, each larger than the alien destroyers themselves. And at the center, mounted like the crown of a god, was the massive spine cannon, its barrel stretching hundreds of kilometers. He felt his throat tighten. One shot from that weapon could cut through entire fleets. The operator's hands shook. "Sir, the humans. They know we are watching." The commander turned sharply. "Explain." "Look at the feed." The image on the screen shifted again. The warship's spine cannon began to move. Slowly, with a grinding precision, it turned its vast eye-shaped lens toward the stealth drone. The officers in the chamber froze. No one spoke. "That is impossible," one whispered. "The drone cannot be seen," yet the cannon locked perfectly onto the drone's position. It was as if the warship could sense its presence. The barrel glowed faintly, building energy. "Shut it down," the commander ordered. "Cut the feed before..." The screen flared white. The drone was gone. The connection died with a hiss of static. The chamber went silent. Only the hum of the ship's engines filled the air. The officers stared at the blank screen, their faces pale with fear. One finally spoke, his voice broken. "If the humans can detect our stealth probes, then they are already ahead of us." The commander clenched his fists. His mind screamed with warning. The galaxy had laughed at humans, mocked them, ignored them. But the time for laughter was over. He turned to his officers. "Send word to the council. The humans are not bluffing. They are preparing for war." The silence that followed was heavy. None of the officers wanted to believe it, but none could deny what they had seen. Far away, orbiting Earth, the warship turned again. Its great engines glowed brighter, burning like suns against the blackness of space. The humans worked in silence, their shipyards alive with light, their soldiers boarding smaller craft in endless streams. The ship was not waiting. It was preparing. On the alien flagship, fear spread like a plague. Officers whispered of legends, of the ancient weapons that no one dared touch. The commander silenced them with a glare, but the same thought clawed at his own mind. Had humanity uncovered something forbidden? Had they found a secret buried in their own world, hidden for ages, waiting for someone bold enough to claim it? The commander lowered his head. He already knew the answer. Suddenly, the ship's warning sirens wailed. A communications officer shouted from his station, "New reading! The human warship is charging power." The commander's blood ran cold. "Charging for what?" The officer's eyes widened as he read the signals. "The cannon is locking onto us." The officers froze in horror. They were hidden at the edge of the system, light years from human reach. Yet the warship had found them. The commander gripped the edge of his chair, his voice a whisper. "Impossible!" The screen flared with light as the warship's massive cannon aligned directly toward their fleet. Cut to black. The galaxy waited. Rumors had already spread across dozens of worlds. Merchant convoys whispered of a human warship larger than a city. Pirate bands claimed they had seen strange flashes of light near Earth. Traders carried stories of alien fleets gathering in secret, preparing for war. But then something happened that no one expected. For centuries, humans had stayed quiet on the galactic stage. They traded a little, explored a little, and fought among themselves. But they never made bold declarations. The galaxy had grown used to their silence. That silence ended in one moment. It began with a sudden transmission. Across alien colonies, marketplaces, warships and council chambers, screens flickered without warning. Communication lines filled with static. Then a voice, calm and steady, cut through. "This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the Terran Defense Fleet. We know you are watching. We know you are afraid." The image cleared. The galaxy saw a human face, stern and unshaken. Behind him, through the wide window of his command bridge, the silhouette of the colossal warship loomed in the background. Its armored hull glowed faintly in the sunlight, a dark shadow against Earth. The alien counselors who watched from their chambers felt their bodies tense. The voice of the human admiral carried no fear, no hesitation. It was the voice of someone who already knew the outcome of the war. "You send your spies to circle our world. You hide your fleets at the edges of our system. You whisper among yourselves, wondering if humanity has the strength to rise. Hear me clearly. We are awake now, and we will not return to silence." The words rang out across the galaxy. Millions of alien civilians froze where they stood. Shopkeepers in crowded markets stopped mid-trade. Soldiers on distant planets paused their drills. Captains aboard warships turned in disbelief to their screens. The admiral stepped closer, his eyes unblinking. "Humanity does not seek war, but we will not kneel. If you come to our skies with weapons drawn, then you will face fire. If you strike our world, then you will know the strength of our fleet." Behind him, the camera shifted. For a brief moment, the galaxy saw the warship in full. Its vast cannons gleamed in the light. Its hangar doors opened, releasing smaller craft into formation. Thousands of human soldiers in black exosuits moved with precision, boarding dropships and gunships like waves of iron. The feed lingered on them, long enough for every alien viewer to feel the weight of what they were seeing. Humanity had not built a single warship. Humanity had built an army. In the council chamber, one alien leader whispered to another, "They are showing us on purpose. This is no accident. They want us to see their strength." The Grand Speaker's face hardened. He understood the game being played. Humans had turned the galaxy's fear into a weapon. By speaking openly, they had seized the stage. Back on the feed, Admiral Kane continued, "We will not be hunted. We will not be threatened. This galaxy belongs to us as much as it belongs to you. Remember that before you fire another shot." The screen cut to black. The transmission ended as suddenly as it began. For several seconds, silence ruled the galaxy. Then chaos erupted. On dozens of alien homeworlds, people shouted in panic. Markets collapsed. Fear swept through entire populations as rumors twisted into terror. Some worlds called for immediate war. Others demanded peace before it was too late. The galaxy fractured into confusion, and all of it was caused by one human voice. On the alien flagship that had spied on Earth, officers stood frozen. They had heard the same words. They had seen the same vision. The commander clenched his fists. He could not deny what he felt in his chest. Humanity was no longer the prey. The communication officer spoke quietly. "Sir, they knew exactly where we were. That broadcast reached us with no delay. They must have mapped our position." The commander's blood ran cold. "Then they are not only watching, they are hunting." Far away, in orbit above Earth, the warship stirred again. Its engines pulsed with greater power. Its armor plates locked into place. The ship was almost complete. On the ground, within hidden human bases, soldiers in black armor stood in rows. Their helmets reflected the glow of red lights as they listened to their commanders. Their orders were simple: be ready. In the skies, fleets of smaller human warships took formation, circling the massive flagship like hawks around a titan. The humans were preparing for something far larger than defense. Inside the alien council chamber, voices rose in fear and anger. "They are bluffing. They cannot wield that much power. They will destroy us all." The Grand Speaker slammed his claw against the table. The chamber fell silent. "No, they are not bluffing. They are daring us. And the galaxy has already taken the bait." At that moment, alarms rang out across the chamber. Emergency signals flashed across the walls. A new message came from the fleet station near Earth. Alien presence confirmed in orbit. Human warship shields are active. The flagship is powering up its main cannon. The councillors froze. Shock rippled across their faces. The humans had not only spoken, they had acted. High above Earth, the giant warship turned. Its massive spine cannon glowed brighter than before, locking directly onto the alien fleet that had been sent to monitor it. The commander of that fleet shouted to his crew, "Shields up. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." But deep down, he already knew the truth. Against this monster, there might be no escape. The warship's cannon pulsed with light, and the void trembled as it prepared to fire, cut to black. The council chamber shook with shouting voices. The walls of the vast hall glowed with the light of incoming reports, each one filled with the same message: the human warship is alive. Alien leaders of every shape and size leaned over the central table, their faces drawn with fear. Their voices overlapped in anger, denial, and panic. "They cannot have built this," one barked, his scaled fists pounding the table. "Humans do not possess the knowledge." "They do," hissed another with translucent skin, her body glowing faintly in the dark. "We all saw the cannon lock onto our fleets. No weapon of ours has ever shown such precision. This is not human technology. They have uncovered something far older." The words struck the chamber like a dagger. The older councillors shifted uneasily, remembering forbidden stories from long ago. Tales of the old ones, the ancient race that once ruled the galaxy with weapons that could burn entire stars. Technology so powerful it had been hidden, erased from history, locked away where no one would dare search. And yet the humans had found it. The Grand Speaker rose slowly from his chair. His deep voice silenced the chamber. "You all saw it. The warship is no illusion. It carries the power of the ancients, and the humans now command it." The councillors began to argue again. "Strike Earth now, before they finish the ship. If we attack, they will unleash it upon us. Better to risk war than to let them rise unchecked." The chamber became a storm of fear. Some councillors slammed their claws or fists against the table, demanding immediate destruction. Others shook their heads, their eyes wide with terror, unwilling to provoke what they believed could not be defeated. At last, one voice cut through the storm. It belonged to a young councillor with silver eyes, his tone sharp with desperation. "You fools, do you not understand? If we wait, humanity will grow stronger. If we attack, we may already be too late. Either way, the galaxy is doomed. The council fell into uneasy silence. The Grand Speaker's gaze swept the hall. Perhaps we underestimated them for too long. We called them reckless. We called them divided. But humanity has done what none of us dared. They have taken the fire of the ancients and claimed it as their own. The councillors shifted in their seats. None could deny the truth. A projection shimmered into the air, showing the latest images from orbit around Earth. The warship loomed larger than before. Its hull now glowed with strange patterns of energy, symbols none of the alien languages could translate. Thousands of smaller ships circled it like guardians. Human soldiers marched in endless columns, boarding transports, preparing for war. One insectoid councillor shrieked, his voice high with panic. "If that cannon fires on our fleets, entire armadas will vanish in seconds. Do you understand what this means? Every empire here will fall." The chamber erupted again. Leaders of proud civilizations argued like frightened children. Some demanded immediate surrender to humanity, hoping to survive by kneeling first. Others swore they would rather die than bow to a species they had once considered weak. In the shadows of the chamber, a whisper grew among the aides and guards. A forbidden question. What if humanity was not acting alone? What if something older guided them? The Grand Speaker raised his claw again. The voices fell silent. His expression was grim, his eyes burning with fear. "We face a choice. Strike now and risk our fleets against this monster, or do nothing and watch as humanity changes the balance of the galaxy forever." No one moved. No one spoke. The weight of the decision crushed them all. Suddenly, the chamber lights dimmed. A new transmission forced its way through their defenses. The hologram shifted, and a cold light filled the hall. It was the Human Warship. The spine cannon pulsed with power, glowing brighter than ever. The image zoomed closer, showing its barrel opening like the eye of a predator. Then a voice followed, calm, human, terrifying. "You have watched us long enough. The time for silence is over." The chamber froze. Not a single councillor dared breathe. The warship's cannon began to hum with a deep, bone-shaking sound. Energy built in its core, so bright that the hologram distorted. The weapon was charging. One councillor screamed in terror. "If they fire, fleets will be erased." The chamber filled with chaos. Some tried to flee. Others shouted over one another. But the Grand Speaker stood motionless, his eyes locked on the glowing cannon. He whispered, his voice heavy with dread. "If humanity dares to pull that trigger, the galaxy we know will end." The hologram flared, showing the cannon locking onto a cluster of alien warships that orbited near Earth. Energy poured into its heart like a rising storm. The screen cut to black. The alien armada formed a wall of steel and fire around Earth. Hundreds of battleships stretched across the void, their cannons armed, their shields glowing. From orbit, the planet looked caged, trapped beneath the largest fleet ever assembled against a single world. Inside the command chamber of the alien flagship, the commander raised his clawed hand. "Transmit the ultimatum," a deep voice echoed through the comlines, broadcast toward Earth. "Humans, you will shut down your construction. You will power down your warship. You will surrender or be destroyed." The message spread across human channels, reaching soldiers, civilians, and leaders alike. For a long moment, silence hung over the void. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Then a reply came. It was Admiral Marcus Kane. His voice was steady, calm, unshaken. "No." The single word cut like a blade. Before the aliens could respond, the stars lit with fire. The first volley came from the alien fleet. Thousands of plasma lances and missile barrages shot forward, screaming toward Earth's orbit. Explosions tore across the sky as smaller human ships took the first hits. Several frigates burned and shattered, their crews lost in seconds. But the humans did not break. The massive warship stirred. Its shields rippled as enemy fire crashed against them, but the giant did not falter. Human destroyers and cruisers darted into formation, their railguns firing back in unison. Bright streaks of kinetic slugs punched through alien cruisers, tearing open their hulls like paper. In the chaos, Boarding craft launched. Human soldiers in black exosuits stormed alien ships, cutting through their hulls with plasma charges. Inside, brutal close combat began. The aliens had numbers, but the humans fought with precision and firepower, their armor turning them into walking fortresses. From the council chamber far away, the alien leaders watched the battle in horror. Entire fleets that once ruled the stars now struggled against Earth's defenders. On the flagship, the alien commander bared his teeth. Press the attack! Break their lines before the warship fully awakens. But it was already too late. The great warship moved. Slowly, like a mountain rising from the deep, it shifted its position. Engines roared like thunder, burning bright against the void. Its cannons lit up, unleashing beams of pure destruction. Each blast tore through alien ships as if they were made of glass. Entire squadrons vanished in flashes of light. The commander gripped his chair, his voice sharp. What kind of power is this? Then it happened. The spine cannon began to glow, its long barrel charged with a blinding energy that spread across the warship's hull. The weapon hummed, low and deep, vibrating through the void itself. Every ship, human and alien alike, felt the rising storm of its power. Alien officers shouted in fear. It is charging. They will fire. The commander screamed to his fleet. Scatter! Break formation! But the humans held steady. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the warship, his eyes locked on the enemy armada. He raised his hand, and with a single command, the impossible became real. Fire. The cannon unleashed its fury. A beam of pure white light tore across the stars, brighter than a sun. It cut through space itself, a lance of destruction that no shield could block. 3 alien battleships vanished instantly, their hulls shattered, their crews erased in silence. The beam kept going, ripping through another wave of ships, leaving only wreckage in its wake. For a brief second, the void fell silent. The aliens stared in disbelief at the devastation. Whole squadrons, gone in a single shot. The alien commander's hands trembled. His voice cracked. No weapon should have this power. No species should command such fire. Across the galaxy, billions watched the live feeds. On alien worlds, fear spread like wildfire. Parents clutched their children. Soldiers whispered prayers. Leaders stared in shock, unable to look away. On Earth, cheers erupted. Humanity had struck back, and for the first time, the galaxy understood. The humans were no longer weak, but the battle was not over. The alien commander snarled, forcing strength back into his voice. All ships, do not retreat. Ram the human flagship if you must. It must not survive. Alarms blared as alien cruisers turned, engines flaring at full power. Dozens of them angled their bows directly toward the warship. They would use their own ships as weapons. On the bridge of the Human Warship, Admiral Kane's officers shouted warnings. The flagship was mighty, but even a mountain could be shattered by enough collisions. The Admiral stood firm. His eyes narrowed. He knew what was coming. The void filled with fire as alien ships surged forward, ramming speed. Shields cracked. Smaller human ships tried to intercept, but there were too many. On the council worlds, leaders watched with wide eyes as the alien armada hurled itself toward the impossible warship. The massive cannon dimmed, cooling after its first strike. The warship's shields shimmered, straining under the barrage. And then, like arrows of steel, the alien cruisers closed the distance. The commander of the alien fleet shouted the final order. "Crush it! Ram the human flagship now!" The screen went black. Across the galaxy, screens flickered with images of the impossible war. Entire populations crowded around public displays. In marketplaces, children stopped playing, merchants abandoned their stalls, and soldiers froze in training yards. All eyes turned to the feed that poured in from orbit around Earth. The human warship filled the screens like a nightmare come alive. Its black armor glowed with the light of battle. Alien fleets surrounded it, a sea of fire and steel pressing in from every side. Explosions burst across the void, shockwaves rippling through space as ships shattered into fragments. On one distant world, a farmer whispered to his neighbor, They said humans were primitive, that they were weak. His neighbor shook his head, eyes wide. Does that look weak to you? On another world, a child clutched her mother's arm, pointing at the screen as the massive cannon of the human flagship lit up once more. Mom, are they going to kill us too? The mother said nothing. She could not. In the Grand Council chamber, the alien leaders watched the battle unfold with grim faces. Their aides delivered updates by the second. Each report worse than the last, 73. Ships destroyed in the last volley. Boarding craft have breached 6 capital vessels. Human soldiers are cutting through our crews as if they were paper, the councillors whispered in fear. The mighty fleets they had built over centuries were being broken in hours. Back in orbit around Earth, the battle grew even more brutal. Alien ships rammed into smaller human destroyers, tearing them apart, sacrificing themselves to weaken the defense line. Flames and debris littered the void. Still the humans held. Their warship's shields shimmered under the assault, bending but not breaking. Inside one alien cruiser, panic filled the corridors as human soldiers stormed through the breached hull. Black armored figures moved like shadows, their rifles spitting fire. The aliens fired back desperately, but the humans advanced with steady steps, each one unstoppable. The aliens screamed, but no reinforcements came. The feed from that cruiser cut out in silence. On distant worlds, civilians trembled as they watched. Some cheered for the humans, desperate for a new power to challenge the empires that had ruled them. Others fell to their knees, praying that the humans would not come for their worlds next. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the commander barked orders through the chaos. Concentrate fire on the flagship. Overload their shields. Do not let that cannon charge again. The alien fleet obeyed. Dozens of ships fired at once, hammering the human warship with enough energy to melt moons. The giant shuddered under the onslaught. Armor plates cracked. Shields rippled like water about to burst, but still it stood. Admiral Marcus Kane's voice echoed across his bridge, calm, controlled. Hold formation. We are not finished. His officers obeyed without question. Smaller ships flanked the flagship, intercepting missiles, sacrificing themselves to protect the monster at the center. Soldiers cheered as the warship's massive cannon began to glow again. The alien commander's face twisted in rage. No, not again. Stop it now! He ordered every remaining cruiser to ram. Engines flared. The alien fleet threw itself forward in a desperate wave. Ships closed in from every side, burning to strike the warship before its weapon could fire. On alien worlds, civilians screamed as they saw the charge. On human bases hidden across Earth, soldiers clenched their fists, watching their enemy hurl everything they had in one final attempt. The council chamber shook with arguments once more. Some shouted that the humans could not survive this. Others whispered that if they did, no force in the galaxy could ever stop them. The Grand Speaker stood, his face pale. His voice was heavy with dread. If the humans withstand this storm, then they are not only survivors, they are conquerors. On the battlefield, the void became a sea of fire. Alien ships slammed into the human flagship's shields, exploding in waves of light. The warship groaned as its defenses strained. For a moment, cracks spread across its armor. For a moment, it looked as though the monster might finally fall. But then something strange happened. The warship's shields flared with a new color, a glow no alien sensor could identify. Energy patterns twisted across its hull, glowing symbols no living species could translate. The shield did not break. Instead, it grew stronger. The alien commander's eyes widened in terror. He had heard the stories. He knew the signs. This is no human creation, he whispered. This is ancient. On the bridge of the human warship, Admiral Kane gave the order. Activate the secondary systems. Show them what we found. The flagship's core pulsed with light. Across its massive hull, hidden panels opened, revealing rows of weapons that no alien had ever seen. Beams of blue fire lanced out in every direction, cutting through the charging fleet like blades through glass. Alien ships erupted one after another, their sacrifice turned to ash in seconds. Across the galaxy, billions watched in silence as the alien fleet burned. The council chamber fell still. No one shouted now. No one spoke. They all understood what they were witnessing. Humanity was not simply defending Earth. Humanity was rising. The alien commander clenched his fists, despair filling his voice. If they unleash that power across the stars, none of us will survive. And then the spine cannon of the warship began to glow again, brighter than before. Its energy roared like a storm. Building to a level no sensor could measure, the weapon locked onto the alien flagship cut to black. The alien flagship trembled as the massive cannon of the human warship locked onto it. Lights flickered across the bridge. Officers screamed for evasive maneuvers, but it was too late. The weapon fired. A blinding beam of white light streaked through the void. The alien flagship shuddered as the blast tore through its shields. For a moment, it seemed the ship would split apart. But instead of destruction, the beam faded suddenly, as if the human warship had pulled its punch. Confusion spread across the alien fleet. Why had the humans spared their flagship? Inside the human command deck, Admiral Marcus Kane's officers exchanged tense looks. One of them spoke, voice sharp. "Admiral, why did you stop the shot?" Kane's eyes were hard, his voice calm. "We are not here to destroy blindly, not yet. The galaxy must see, must understand. And then, when the time comes, we strike." Across the galaxy, the Council worlds burned with questions. How had humans built such a ship? What power drove it? No empire, no ancient alliance, no legendary fleet had ever created a weapon like this. Rumors spread faster than fire. Some whispered that the humans had stolen forgotten technology from the ruins of dead empires. Others said the warship itself was not human-made at all, but something far older, something alien. In the Grand Council chamber, the speaker slammed his fist onto the table. "We demand answers. No primitive species could create such a monster. Where did they find it?" The chamber filled with shouts and fear. One elder counselor finally spoke, voice trembling. "There are legends, stories of a sleeping arsenal left behind by the precursors, worlds where their weapons were buried. For centuries we dismissed them as myths. But now I believe the humans found one of those places." The room fell silent. No one dared laugh. On Earth, in a hidden chamber deep beneath the planet's surface, the truth was being guarded. Scientists and soldiers stood before a massive archive of alien stone, carved with glowing symbols. Holograms flickered above them, showing schematics of weapons no human mind could have designed. A young scientist whispered to her commander. Admiral Kane was right. This ship was not built in our yards. "We found it, buried beneath the ice of Europa. Half of it broken, half still alive. We woke it. And now it fights for us." Her voice trembled. "But Admiral, we still do not understand all of it. We cannot control everything. The warship is choosing." Back aboard the warship, Kane studied the alien fleet regrouping in the distance. His officers reported numbers, damages, victories. Yet his focus stayed on the glowing runes etched across the ship's hull, symbols that no human had carved. One officer leaned closer. "Sir, if this technology is truly precursor, if it responds to us, what if it also turns against us?" Kane's jaw tightened. He gave no answer. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, fear turned into panic. Empires that once boasted of invincible fleets now shivered at the thought of a single human warship. Entire worlds began to prepare evacuation plans. Militias formed, whispering of rebellion against the Council. On one alien world, a general addressed his people. "The humans have unearthed a nightmare. If they can tame it, we are finished. If they cannot, we may all be destroyed anyway." Back in the council chamber, arguments exploded again. One shouted, "We must unite and crush Earth before they unleash more of these weapons." Another replied, "No, if we strike and fail, the humans will march on our homeworlds next." "We must negotiate." The speaker raised his voice over the chaos. "Enough, we will send emissaries. If the humans have the precursor ship, we must know what they plan." But even as he spoke, alarms blared. A message arrived from the battlefield. The alien commander's flagship had been crippled. Human boarding craft had latched onto it. Soldiers in black armor now swarmed its corridors. The humans were not only fighting, they were coming for the commander himself. In the darkened halls of the alien flagship, doors blew open with thunder. Human marines poured through, weapons glowing. The aliens fought desperately, but their lines broke. One by one, they fell back toward the command chamber. The commander gripped his blade, preparing for the final stand. His officers begged him to escape, but he roared back. "No, if I flee, the galaxy will see only weakness. If I die, let it be facing them." The chamber doors burst open. Smoke poured in. Human soldiers stepped forward, their armor shining in the firelight, and behind them, entering slowly, calmly, came Admiral Kane himself. The alien commander's eyes widened. You walk into my ship as if you own it." Kane's reply was cold. "It belongs to no one now. The galaxy must change, and you will be the first to understand why." The alien commander raised his blade in defiance, his voice filled with rage. "Then come, human. Show me this future you fight for." The soldiers circled. The duel was about to begin. Cut to black. The command chamber of the alien flagship burned with smoke and fire. Sparks rained from broken panels, and alarms screamed in every corner. Human soldiers in black armor held their positions, rifles aimed, forming a silent wall of steel. In the center, Admiral Marcus Kane stepped forward. His boots echoed against the metal floor. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, fixed on the alien commander. The alien leader stood tall, blade raised. His armor was dented, his forces dying around him, but his will remained unbroken. "You think your warship makes you a god, human?" he snarled. "But power alone does not decide the galaxy. Strength of spirit does." Kane's reply was steady. "Then test my spirit." The duel began. The alien commander lunged forward, his blade crackling with plasma. Kane drew his combat staff, its edges glowing with blue energy. The clash rang out like thunder, filling the chamber with sparks. The alien swung with brutal strength, forcing Kane back step by step. His strikes were like hammers, each one heavy enough to shatter armor. But Kane was fast, precise. He blocked, dodged, countered, each move calculated, each strike aimed to wear down his foe. The soldiers watched in silence. None dared interfere. The fate of the battle, perhaps the galaxy itself, now rested on this single fight. Outside, the war still raged. Alien ships tried desperately to regroup. The human warship's spine cannon charged again, glowing like a newborn star. The galaxy held its breath as the battle of leaders decided the outcome. Inside the chamber, the alien commander roared and struck harder. His blade carved through consoles, slicing metal like paper. Kane countered with speed, striking the alien's armor, driving him back. The fight was brutal, close, and relentless. Finally, with a furious swing, the alien commander knocked Kane's staff from his hands. It clattered across the floor. The alien raised his blade high, victory flashing in his eyes. "Your war ends here, human." But Kane did not flinch. He stepped forward, close enough to meet the alien's burning eyes. With lightning speed, he drew a hidden blade from his belt and drove it into the commander's chest. The alien gasped, his weapon falling from his grip. The chamber went silent. The alien staggered back, his voice weak. "You are not just a soldier. You are destiny." He collapsed, his body striking the floor with a final echo. The human soldiers lowered their rifles. Kane stood still, breathing heavily, his hand stained with the blood of his enemy. Then the alarms changed. The alien flagship shuddered violently. Without its commander, its systems fell into chaos. Fires spread, reactors overloaded. The ship was dying. Kane turned to his soldiers. "Evacuate, now!" The humans retreated quickly, dragging wounded comrades as they fled back to their boarding craft. Behind them, the alien flagship cracked apart, explosions blooming across its hull. From orbit, the galaxy watched as the great alien flagship, once a symbol of dominance, was consumed in fire. On council worlds, leaders stared in silence. Their greatest fleet, their strongest commander, their pride, destroyed. And the one who remained standing was human. On Earth, cheers erupted across every city. Humanity had done the impossible. They had stood against the galaxy and survived, but the warship was not finished. As the alien flagship died, the human warship pulsed with strange light once more. The runes across its hull glowed brighter than ever, as though awakened fully by the battle. New panels shifted open. More weapons revealed themselves, far beyond anything seen before. On the bridge, Kane's officers gasped. "Admiral, it is still changing. It is evolving." Kane stared at the ship's core systems, the power surging like a heartbeat. For the first time, a shadow of fear crossed his face. This ship was never meant for defense. It was built for conquest. Far away in the council chamber, the Grand Speaker rose to his feet. His voice trembled, yet his words echoed across the galaxy. The humans have not only won, they now hold the power of the precursors. If they march beyond Earth, nothing will stop them. Billions across the stars listened, their hearts filled with dread and awe. Some whispered of rebellion against the council, others prayed for human mercy. But many already knew the truth. The balance of the galaxy had shifted forever. Back aboard the warship, Admiral Kane stood before the viewing window, Earth shining behind him, wreckage burning before him. His officers awaited his command. One asked softly, "Sir, what do we do now?" Kane's eyes narrowed. His voice was low, steady, unshakable. "We show the galaxy that humanity will never kneel again." Outside, the warship's spine cannon glowed brighter, its aim turning slowly away from the battlefield and toward the distant stars. The galaxy watched in terror. Cut to black.